Welcome back to the European League of Legends Championship Series here live in Cologne, Germany. Coming up now, it is Gambit facing off against ROCAT in the second game of the day. And this match has a lot of implications for the teams at the top of the table. Bear with me, I'm going to break this one down for you. Since Alliance lost that match, if ROCAT wins here, that will move things into a three-way tie for first between SK, Fnatic, and ROCAT, where SK owns the tiebreaker. That means that Fnatic and ROCAT would have to play a match to decide that position, with SK advancing to first, of course. But should ROCAT lose this match, that moves Alliance and ROCAT into a tie for third place, where the head-to-head records are tied between them.
Yeah, now Gambit and ROCAT do finish up their last match of the split, with Gambit looking for at least one win against ROCAT, who currently hold a 3-0 record, and all of the bragging rights. Gambit will really need to pick up 2 wins in order to pass ROCAT in the standings. This is a great place to start.
And of course, yesterday, Gambit were unable to raise their games as they faced the first Heimerdinger in the LCS. They tried a few changes of their own, with Darien finally playing an actual Magic-based champion on Ryze and Diamond on Udyr. Unfortunately, they couldn't fight their way back the siege potential that Copenhagen Wolves were able to bring to the match.
Yeah, Udyr indeed. I think the problems for Gambit started during the pick and ban phase. They had champions that were easy to read, easy to predict their movements, and it added strength to the long-range poke and zone control offered by the Wolves composition. Diamond played Udyr for the first time this split, and it left me completely uninspired. Udyr was actually played by Diamond 5 times last year, and all of those times I wasn't impressed either. It seems like Diamond's pulling it out and never really being successful with a champion. As a team, though, Gambit really seems to be in a mental slump. And while they have their playoff spot secured, I think they need to find a way to get their confidence back before we head into playoffs, and they play 2 games today.
ROCAT looked much better yesterday against the Super Hot crew, winning out their laning phase and rotating the complete control of the game by winning some important team fights. It was a good start for the Super Week for ROCAT, but I feel that Gambit will be a much tougher fight for them.
I completely agree with that. And I think yesterday, Jankos just turned into a god. He played Lee Sin. He had immaculate ganks. His dragon steals were great. He had fantastic positioning and good Dragon's Rage kicks. And I think if Jankos performs and disrupts his opponents, then his entire team gets revitalized and picks up their own performances. The game yesterday reminded me of the victory that ROCAT had over SK Gaming 2 weeks ago. And the key factors were ROCAT securing an early advantage through ganks, and then heavily invading and controlling their opponent's jungle, and forcing their opponent's hands. If ROCAT can get off to a strong start and get inside the heads of Gambit, that could be a great way to grab another win on their way to the top of that table finish.
Well, in the past, ROCAT has relied on strong champion selection and unusual strategies to give them an edge. Meanwhile, Gambit will have to see through their picks and bans if they want to avoid a 4-0 sweep.
The game against ROCAT is the last chance for us to get the win against them.
Well, I care more about being higher placed than going 4-0 versus Gambit, but it would be nice.
ROCAT, a really strange team. They really like to play some kind of unique champions and some kind of unique strats. But at the moment they started to play more to meta, and I think that hurt them.
Yeah, they're a strong team, they have good team fights, and Diamond Prox is really good.
For me, Diamond is the best jungler in Europe right now. So it would mean a lot even for me that I won against such a good player.
Like, you never know what to expect from them, and I think that is their main strength. But if you can predict their picks and if you can predict what they are going to do, I think that you can have edge. You need to bait enemies into picks you want and then pick counter picks or the pick around it, then you can win really easy.
And you know, I think Alex actually hit the nail on the head there, because at the start of the season, we had no idea what ROCAT were going to pull out. Teams started to discover them, and actually ROCAT started playing into the meta.
Yeah, I completely agree. When ROCAT surprise their opponents and they make their comp work, they do well. But it's interesting hearing Alex saying they're unpredictable. And a few moments ago, Kevin was saying they're kind of predictable. So even teams in the LCS aren't 100% sure on, a team's strengths and weaknesses.
Well, let's check out those starting lineups, and they are predictable, that's for sure. On the blue side, it's Gambit Gaming. That means it will be Darien, Diamond in the jungle, Aleksei is the mid lane, Genja as AD carry, and Eduard on support.
Yeah, and on the red side, it will be ROCAT for this match, with Xaxus up top, Jankos in the jungle, Overpow in the mid, Celevan AD, and Vanda playing support.
So those are the teams The question is, what will the champions be as they move into this game? There's been a number of different choices, and of course, Gambit caught out a little bit by the Heimerdinger yesterday. Probably weren't quite expecting that one, but it actually worked out really well. So they're going to go with themselves.
I think what Copenhagen Wolves did yesterday was very smart. They banned 2 mid lane champions and they banned a jungler and first picked Evelynn. So I think if you force Alex and Diamond onto champions that are less likely to win a game, that is a very strong way to beat Gambit. And we keep talking about when you see Alex not on an assassin, he's not as impactful.
And I also feel that maybe with that Gragas choice, the fact that Youngwook played it last week, they probably read into it thinking, that Gragas is top lane. Let's use something that can work with it. Yeah, completely caught everyone off guard.
I completely thought it was going to be top. So that was an advantage that Copenhagen Wolves had going into the game. I think there's less of an advantage now because you do tend to see slightly more standard trends from ROCAT in recent weeks. You know, I do think that if ROCAT want to gain an advantage, get rid of Evelynn, get either ban her or first pick her, and get rid of LeBlanc would be a strong way to starting out. We did also see NIDALEE banned against Alex and Gambit yesterday, so that might be something that Alex has been playing in scrims and playing online in solo queue a lot.
Yeah, he's been hitting the Z as well. Let's not forget that one. There's a number of champions out there, actually, that Alex could pull out. I'm hoping... I hate seeing these mid laners not on assassins, and both these champions, both these players, Alex and Overpow, are assassin players.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do feel that the farmy champions of Overpow is probably stronger. When you think of his Ziggs or his Gragas play,
his Mordekaiser,
I think he can do well on those champions. But I think one of the other keys to remember is while Jankos, Overpow, Diamond, and Alex are the game winners for their teams, you can't discount the fact that Genja and Salivar can be game losers for their teams. Both of them have got very limited champion pools. 10 games on Jinx for Genja, 9 games on Lucian. Over on the other side of the coin, 10 games on Caitlyn for Salivar, 8 games on Lucian. So they've got their very centralized, focused AD champions that they like playing. If you can shut them down, you can actually negate their impact in games.
Well, in the same vein, you've got the 2 supports, the Vander and Eduard, that both big Thresh players, both have pulled out some absolute amazing big plays this season.
Yeah, I agree. I think when they deliver, their Thresh play can be the strongest in Europe.
Perhaps not the Sona last week for Eduard, though.
Yeah, when you miss your crescendos, it's never going to help you out. The crush, as I was calling them, yeah. But I think what we noticed like last week during the games is Gambit's opponents would almost ignore Genja because he didn't have armor penetration up to 30-40 minutes marks. And it's like, what are you going to do when champions have 150 plus armor? Your damage is mitigated so much.
The Zephyr doesn't do too much for you in that stage. And outside of a Last Whisper. Anyway, that's all about Genja's build. This is all about the bans. Right now, we are seeing Ziggs, LeBlanc, and Ryze being banned out. Ryze, interestingly, being banned out. That's been played by Overpow. Zaz has already also thought about it before, but Overpow's played it, what, twice the last 2 games, I believe?
Yeah, and don't forget, yesterday Gambit tried to play the Ryze as well. They put it in the top lane. So instead of giving it away and giving away that champion that can scale so incredibly well, just take it off the table, remove it completely. I think what we are seeing from ROCAT is that strategy we talked about, though.
And, you know, we were talking about the fact that they're 0-3 against ROCAT. Gambit is 0-3 themselves right now. This could be a 4-game win-loss streak if they don't turn this one around. This is serious focus time for Gambit. Gragas is being banned away along with Lulu. That means, well, what will they go with for that first pick? Will it be a champion for Darien?
Kha'Zix could be an option. Renekton is available as well. Thresh is still up as well. So you've got a lot of those priority picks that don't necessarily reveal a whole lot, and they are safe to pick. You know you can get away with them. I don't really know what Gambit's going to prioritize right now, but I think one of those 3 will be a safe pick. You could go that route, but I don't think it's first pick worthy. The one thing that's important to note about this game is it's effectively like a 2-game swing because it's 1 win for a team, 1 loss for your opponents. It adds all of that extra distance in the table.
Kha'Zix is going to be the first choice, so we may well see. Don't forget, this could be Alex. Alex has played some tremendous Kha'Zix. And
Lucian Thresh.
And I should point out in the previous game, I said, you know, Kha'Zix, it was the best Kha'Zix we've seen. Best Kha'Zix jungle, obviously, is what I was referring to. It was kind of, you know, already intended, the fact that it was a jungle player. Aleksei himself on Kha'Zix is tremendous.
Yeah, I wonder if there's even a thought process from Gambit. Maybe they want to run Udyr again and give that Kha'Zix to Alex in the mid lane. It will depend how this pick ban phase plays out. Knowing ROCAT, knowing how much emphasis they put on Lucian, I think Lucian Renekton, Lucian Thresh, hell, if they want to go like Lucian Trundle, for example, they could go for something along those lines. But I am expecting it to at least be one of those two picks.
Yeah, Lucian Thresh would be a very good combo for the bottom lane pairing. It's going to be Sullivan and Vander. It is going to be, it seems, and that is the most popular two pairs of support and AD carry.
It's the two most played champions.
Yeah.
It's the two most played champions in the entire European LCS. It is also the 14th time that we will be seeing Vander on Thresh. There is no mistaking what his favorite champion is. Knowing that Rocket can counterpick with their jungler and their solo lanes, now Gambit need to decide what they want to run with. I would probably think a Renekton might be a possibility.
Wow.
Eduard could consider an Annie right now if they wanted to go that route, and we'll see what they play out.
We completely missed NIDALEE sneaking through the picks and bans phase, and it seems as Aleksei has been playing it pretty heavily in solo queue. He is now going to lock it in, and the Renekton in the top lane. So far, Gambit have got a very strong start.
Yeah, so I think they're going to be very comfortable with this start. NIDALEE's not going to be particularly strong in the early game, but she's going to hit a point where she hits a pointy spear and somebody is going to die. So that's a nice, bank that you can rely on. Knowing that NIDALEE's locked in, it also makes it 100% clear that he's not going to be playing Kha'Zix. And Gambit are leaving their duo lane to last, seeing who they want to run, seeing if Genja is going to be brave enough to play that Jinx, or if he's going to go to maybe something else, maybe a Caitlyn, maybe a Lucian, for example, Sivir, for example. We'll have to see.
Thankfully, this is not ultra rapid fire mode, so those NIDALEE spears don't come every 3 seconds. It's pretty insane in that game mode. As it is, we are waiting for Rocket to select, and well, a Lee Sin for Jankos would certainly be a very good pick, and it seems that Xaxus is going to have to plumb for Shyvana in that top lane phase.
Yeah, and seeing how well Jankos played Lee Sin yesterday, I think this is a smart decision. In terms of your top laners, Shyvana is actually one of Xaxus's lesser played champions. He's played Renekton and Trundle as his 1 and 2. I almost would have expected a Trundle, but what I like about the Shyvana is you've got the mobility built in with your W, you work as a good dive buddy with Lee Sin, and you can get to that backline quite effectively. So we'll see how he plays out once we get to those team fights.
Well, the only way to counter those death sentences with a Black Shield, and Eddie seemingly relishing this one alongside Genja with that Caitlyn lock-in.
Now the Morgana pick, I wasn't particularly a fan of yesterday either. When Gambit ran it against the Copenhagen Wolves, Morgana didn't offer a whole lot against the Gragas and against the Heimerdinger that the Wolves have put forward. Against Rocket right now, there's very limited crowd control, but there is the dive potential. So what I like about the pick now is when that Shyvana and Lee Sin and potentially Thresh jump onto Gambit, you throw down your Soul Shackles and you make Caitlyn's life a little easier. What I also like is their immense range. Morgana and Caitlyn should be able to bully at least a little bit against the likes of Thresh and Lucian on the chance that those Dark Bindings land. So there's going to be a lot of emphasis on landing those skill shots. For the rest of Gambit, it's pretty straightforward. Land a spear, land a Dark Binding, jump in with Kha'Zix and Renekton and try kill the targets.
There is a champion that's been forgotten about this week, and it is Yasuo. And with the combination, the Thresh knockup, the Shyvana knockups, the Lee Sin, or displacements rather than knockups I should say, this is a very good pick, and there is a lot available for Overpow to jump on with that Yasuo.
Yeah, there really is. Now I'm searching back through my notes, and this composition failed for Rocket the last time they tried it. They ran a Lee Sin Yasuo combination with Renekton top lane against Fnatic. This is about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and they failed miserably. They fell behind early, they had so much attack damage. If you look down the sides of Rocket, there is no magic damage at all. So if Rocket do not get a lead early on and make that wombo combo of Shyvana displacement into Last Breath from Yasuo, that's going to put them so far behind. We do see double teleports being hovered over, which they also ran yesterday, so they are going to be able to play the map and split push super effectively, because Shyvana and Yasuo are going to be able to control those side lanes very, very well.
But would you argue this is maybe a poke with the pilt over the spears? This is what they're aiming for, but then again, they've got that gigantic tank at the front with the Dominus on Renekton, stopping anything coming through them.
It is, end of story. And I think if that poke doesn't land, or if they are grouped up, the engage potential from that combination of Rocket can win for them, but they can't afford to miss anything.
Well, as the players ready themselves, let's see how you call this game. According to the votes, it is 66% in favor of Gambit, so kind of not surprised behind that one. The Gambit force is very strong.
Yeah, it really is. And, at the end of the day, Gambit are still expected to perform well. They're 13 and 12 on the ladder right now. 0-3 down. We'll see if they can break that losing streak, break their losing spree in this matchup.
You know, sometimes I really wish we wouldn't give those hand warmers to the players, because there's so often gifts get created from their movements as they try to warm themselves up before the game.
Yeah, hopefully they can warm themselves up quickly enough, and then we can get into the Rift. There is still 4 more games after this one today, and I think for Gambit, the fact that they play against Fnatic at the end of the day, this has to be a game that they win, otherwise their mindset is going to be even more shot going later in the day.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Game 2 of Super Week, and, well, Game 8 overall. We are... Actually, it's like Game 7, isn't it? There's been so many games. We're not quite at the halfway stage yet. That's going to be the next match. For now, though, Gambit are playing as the blue team and looking like they're going to go for a standard defensive formation up against ROCCAT as the red team.
Now, we'll see how ROCCAT play this one out. I think part of the reason that Genja is locked in as Caitlyn, and it is the first time we're seeing him on Caitlyn as well in a very, very, very long time, is because of the immense range that she offers and the built-in escape with that 90 caliber net. So as long as Genji is on point, if he can get away from you know, the knockups coming in from ROCCAT, along with that black shield preventing knockups actually happening, I think they're in a good spot. The power of the Morgana pick has gone up because of the all-physical composition here from ROCCAT. Yes, there is magic damage on Shyvana, but it's going to take a while to burn through that black shield. So what that means is Eduard can pick one person in a team fight and say, you will not be hit by a full Yasuo combo, and hopefully that one person can help turn the tide of those fights.
And also they have to pounce in, which is the main thing.
Yeah.
You got Lee Sin, Shyvana, Yasuo, they're all coming in to that Morgana who can just pop that ultimate and maybe try and lock some of them up.
So in the laning phase, ROCCAT need to get a lead. They pulled a similar composition against Fnatic, like we've mentioned. They fell behind early, and they could never, ever contest or challenge under towers. The moment ROCCAT get pushed to their own tower, after losing a few and rotating, for example, they are just going to get poked to oblivion. Void Spikes, NIDALEE Spears, Caitlyn Peacemakers, as well as Dark Bindings, and they've got very unsafe wave clear. So we'll see how ROCCAT plays out this laning phase. It is imperative for them to win it.
It is a late invade, and he's going for the blue, and of course ROCCAT already taking the blue buff of their own right now. We do see, looks like it's going to be Eddie heading up there. He's going to find out that Overpow and Xaxus already taken that one out. Overpow is going to get caught with a Dark Binding. Good bit of poke, actually. Good bit of damage on there. Force the flash with that Ignite there. So Xaxus already losing that Summoner spell. That's not bad play from Eddie there, but it is going to be, nevertheless, a blue buff taken from ROCCAT.
It's not a bad play, and what I like is Genja is already on the tower. What we see from these early starts or these invades or trades is so often the duo lane doesn't actually push the lane out. So he's got all 6 waves, he's got solo experience, and he's already making Xaxus forced to lose those minions, lose that experience.
And that is something that Genja has been guilty of so often, especially over at the World Finals in Season 3. As it stands at the moment, Gambit are going to go defensive, of course. It does mean that Diamond is going to be behind in jungle, let's not forget, because he's not going to get that blue buff of his own early on. That's going to create problems, and we may see Jankos trying to create advantages from that play. You can see he's already got himself a level advantage so far in the jungle.
Well, we'll see if he can take advantage of these this weaker lane for NIDALEE. He's coming in, does have double buff, lands a Sonic Wave.
Manages to catch on towards Aleksei. He's going to run away from this one, throws out that spear as well. The Ignite is running, but it's not going to be enough on him. Something we didn't actually mention in the early games is the fact that both Gambit and ROCCAT have 4 members that can pass over objects, so they can all pile into, say, the Dragon Pit, the Baron Pit from behind.
Yeah, I think with the mobility that both of these teams have, positioning is going to be so much more crucial. If Gambit are clustered at all, and they get hit by, you know, the Dragon's Rage or the Dragon's Descent between Shyvana and Lee Sin, any form of displacement is going to be enough to allow Yasuo to get his ultimate off. A Thresh Flay, a Thresh Death Sentence, all of those things are going to open up opportunities for Overpow, but he has to be on point. He has to be able to react quick enough and make it work.
There is some serious damage going down on that bottom turret. The top turret is not taking as much a beating. Diamond's going to go up there and cover that one off alongside Darien. So really, it is all down to Gambit to get the pressure on this bottom turret.
And not only that, something that I didn't take into account when we discussed the range poke and how ROCCAT are going to be so hard pressed to defend a wave, they will have a few seconds of respite when the wind wall is up. You see Darien, it's going to be helped out here by Diamond Procs. Oh, he's been caught by the hook.
Death Sentence on Diamond. That's going to take him low, but he leaps away from that one. Has got that tower safety, but that's going to force Diamond to back away and may give themselves some rest and try and pull some damage down. Aleksei caught out again. by that wind thrown out from Overpow. And Overpow putting a lot of pressure on him, but Alex is going to be used to this matchup. Remember, the Chinese teams at the Intel Extreme Masters, they were masters at Yasuo.
Yeah, and the week following it, Gambit tried to run the same composition. They failed with it as well. They didn't have the level of coordination and level of aggression to make that comp work. So just to finalize that wind wall point, there's one rank in it right now. It is a very high cooldown. It's about 26 seconds at level 1. So as there are minions and as there are some towers to block, it'll help. Overpower's a little overextended. Here comes Diamond.
Yeah, Diamond's going to jump in. He doesn't quite get the claw. Very good block from Overpower as that spear comes out.
Yeah, now, when we see them actually defending it, Overpower needs to pick the right time to use that wind wall. They're going to throw out Darien and he just sidesteps it. He's playing very brave and greedy.
Very too greedy. He's gone down. First blood. It is Roccat and shock horror. Darien goes down.
Yeah, that was just greedy. He wanted to stay in range for experience and for gold. And I think that when he dodged the death sentence, he didn't consider the flay, forgot about the ignite maybe, and just ends up giving a kill. So Roccat should be able to push that tower down if Vander sticks around. He's backed off. Celeba's stuck around with Genja and Eduard. They're a couple of auto attacks away from taking the first tower of the game.
Well, Xaxus came in, but it wasn't him he was aiming for. It was Jankos they wanted. They're going to take Jankos low, and they know once they force him away, Xaxus can get bullied out. Genja goes in, puts the last hit on the turret. First one for Gambit.
Very smart play. Forcing down the wave, pushing Xaxus into a negative situation already. Now Gambit need to decide. Do they want to stick in their current lanes, try hold on to that top tower, stick in the current lanes, and just farm, extend the laning phase, or rotate their AD and carry top lane to defend the tower and potentially push down the top outer turret. We will see. Eduard's already backed off, and it looks like he's moving bottom, so we may see standard lanes for the next few minutes.
You see Darien returning to laying off for that second door in the blade, so making sure he can keep that hits and be aggressive in that top lane. Obviously expecting to go against Xaxus soon enough. We'll see whether the rotations happen in the next few moments, but at the moment, Roccat going to keep that pressure down, and again, Diamond there to defend.
Yeah, when Diamond and Darien both hit level 6, with the double Doran's Blades, it allows them to get much more kill pressure on Vander and Celeber. But when Darien's taking free poke and loses a third of his hit points because of a good hook from Vander, it's never a good start.
Eddie roaming up, he's going to get spotted by the ward though, so he's not going to get close enough. There is a ward in that bush which Eddie is stepping on. He's going to ward out his own, which will actually spot Jankos. Jankos saw that going down though, and wisely is going to go around the top bush.
So it will end up being a 3-on-2 right now. Jankos has the option to dive. Darien has already been caught out once under the turret. Doing the best he can to wait for it. Here comes Darien. Oh, he's been hooked!
Oh, he's been flayed, hooked, and now he's going to get drove in there. Dark Binding comes out from Eddie. He's going to try and run interference. Jankos is going to come round, though. It's an easy kill. He's taking damage, but now he's going to get locked up as well. Jankos can't escape this one. Taste of fear being used by Diamond. That's a kill for the jungler.
So trading 1 for 1. We did see Overpow going a little aggressive onto Alex in the mid lane. Alex is going all in. Overpow's in trouble.
I'm not too sure if this is going to be enough. Overpow may turn this one back around the barrier, and Ignite being used. Aleksei with the spear does not land it, and Overpow happy to keep farming.
Now remember, there is a heal on Aleksei's side, so as long as he's got mana, he's going to be able to just sustain himself back up and stick around in this lane. Last breath is still available for Overpow. Look for a knock-up.
Very dangerous play. You can see he hasn't quite got that knock-up available. Alex, so if he gets caught out, would go down to that ultimate, which is why he's going to get the help of Genja and back away to buy. We also see Overpow, he's heading back to base, so both mid laners are going to get their first big items.
So we'll see what they decide to itemize towards. Overpow picks up the Zeal once again, as opposed to going for the Static Shiv. Obviously going to rush down that, as opposed to Average Blade, rather. Going to rush down his Static Shiv as his first item. Of course, with the passive of Yasuo, giving you double your critical hit chance, Static Shiv, crits in your Runes of Masteries, and Infinity Edge gives you 100% crit. So we'll see how quickly Overpow can hit that point. Until Yasuo hits a Static Shiv, and then maybe a BF Sword, he's actually not super terrifying, because he needs to land a lot of additional poke, and he can't 100-0 you without those items. So as long as Alex stays healed, he's going to be okay in that top lane.
Xaxus does close out that top turret, so it is one apiece now, as Aleksei actually moves in towards that top lane. He did just go up there to get the blue buff, but he's going to cover that one off as Genja and Eduard return and go towards the mid lane. Both duo laners going to be in this mid lane as Celebar rotates up, and now it's going to be actually Darien versus Overpow in that bottom lane.
Just trading around. I think that's actually quite smart, because Darien also got built-in heal. If he does get jumped on, Dominus is going to give him that big burst of HP, so the assassination power from Overpower is not there. And you see how effectively Darien can trade. Overpow's relying on lifesteal Quince to sustain, and it's not enough. That's a big spear on Vanda.
Dark Binding does not follow through, though. Aleksei rotating around. There's another spear on Celiva, and he's going to keep these going and keeping the pressure on.
And that's the poke/siege power that Gambit has in their composition. Darien is going to get jumped on by 2 members of Rocket. Look for the Dragon's Rage into Last Breath.
Good slice and dice, and Overpow actually getting caught out here. Oh, but the ulti's just close enough to catch on towards him, but he's going to get the support. In comes Diamond on towards Overpow. Overpow taken very low from this one. Hasn't got enough, and now Jankos in all sorts of trouble. Dark Binding lands. Diamond gets a double kill.
3-0 now on that Kha'Zix. Got himself a Lizard Elder. Because of the kills they've secured, it's going to allow Gambit to get the first dragon of the game. Nobody from Rocket can contest this, and that was perfect execution from Rocket to start the fight, but at the end of the day, Gambit had the support to end the fight.
Diamond Senpai, please, I did not mean to criticize your Kha'Zix play, because Cotton X has been playing fantastically. Oh, and spear landed on Celiva. That's going to force Rocket away from this mid turret.
Yeah, it does appear that Diamond's off forever, and we'll have to see if he can keep chasing Rocket down. Gambit going to continue to set up the siege. They've got great range, they've got great damage to force towers down, and with the attack speed bonus that NIDALEE's heal gives, it's going to speed up the rate at which Genja's auto attacks can drop these towers.
So Gambit looking good in the opening few minutes of this game. We're just approaching towards the second turret of the game for Gambit here. Rocket going to look to defend this one. Not too sure if they've got enough though. No, they're going to have to step away from it. It will be the second turret of the game for Gambit.
So Gambit now just needs to grab Genja and Eduard, rotate them towards the top lane, take that last outer turret. Then they can start deciding where they want to move as a team. Because of the fact that they've got NIDALEE traps to help cover entrances, they can invest money for vision, but they gain all of that free zone control and vision thanks to those NIDALEE traps as well. So I'd like to see Aleksei roaming around, putting down a whole bunch of traps, and as we said, top lane is now the focus. Gambit sending 3 members up there.
Xaxus in trouble. They're going to 3-man ganking towards him. Darien's getting ready to tank this one out. They're going to hold him time on this one. Dark Binding fires off. Doesn't quite catch. He may get caught out safe here. Is it going to be enough? What? Diamond's going deep into Jankos now. He's going to get caught around. The damage come out from Gambit is huge. And well, Jankos didn't know what hit him.
That was a massive mistake from Jankos. He tried to Dragon's Rage kick the target with Black Shield. You can't interrupt that. You can't apply crowd control. So at the end of the day, Jankos not able to get rid of Gambit, and that's what we talked about, the power of that Black Shield against the single target CCs. Protect the right guy, and Gambit can win. We do see Celiva defending the tower with the help of a Xaxus teleport. He actually cancels it to get a little bit less of that cooldown back in his favor, and Tower held on to for the time being.
Yeah, and Celiva took a hell of a beating there from Genja this time around. Aleksei defending off against Overpow in this bottom lane. Heals himself up. The spear does land this time. Windwall has actually put the wrong side, trying to go a little bit too quick and too fancy, and Aleksei, he's thinking of pouncing it.
Yeah, I don't think there's real kill potential. Overpow should be able to at least dash away, and you see the burst that comes out, from just a couple of auto attacks. Overpow realizing he's a bit overextended. There's no wards in the river, and that was just sense that, hang on a minute, NIDALEE's going aggressive on me. There must be some support around. So he backs off, has got Jankos to back him up if an engage were to happen.
It's 1,000 gold advantage built up by Diamond alone right now over Jankos. That's a big difference. Jankos is going to move around. The blue buff is maybe going to be the focus target, and realizing actually safeguarding away the second he spots Eddie. Honestly, I'd be scared if I spotted Eddie in the jungle.
I completely agree. I think for Rocket right now, they have already fallen behind a pick composition, and Rocket are going to know, a poke composition rather. And what Rocket are going to know is that when you are a poke composition and you're dealing with an opponent that can't engage in you, it's how Rocket beat Copenhagen Wolves last week. The Wolves fell behind, they took NIDALEE spears and Gragas damage, and they couldn't fight back. Now the moment a spear lands, or a Dark Binding catches you, all of a sudden that person is in kill threat. Eduard kills out that pink ward.
Well, Static Shiv completed by Overpow a while back, and he has actually backed away from that bottom lane. Darien was heading down there to maybe keep that tower secure, and at the moment, Rocket, as we've seen many, many times this season, if they lose that lane phase, are in trouble, and against a poke comp, that is only doubled.
Yeah, I agree. And because it's a poke/siege with Caitlyn, it's just going to allow them to get this tower down very, very quickly. You'll notice that Aleksei just picked himself up a Morella Nomicon as his first item, and it gives mana regen as well as cooldown reduction. And I think the reason he went for that over Athena's Unholy Grail is there's no magic threat. you tend to go for themes because the chalice gives you decent MR and at least reduces some of your opponent's damage. There is none of that to reduce, so Renekton will do a similar job, and it just gives ROC. They've lost a buff, they've lost a top tower, they're going to probably lose a lot of HP in this top inner turret as well.
Well, I mean, against the, like I say, an all-armor threat, those Grievous Wounds are going to be working out as well, so it's going to keep that damage dot ticking as well. The spears, every time it lands, it's going to apply that small dot, cause the problems for them. Down that bottom lane, look at this, a jungler equal in level up against the mid laner and actually going toe-to-toe. He's got himself 4 kills, Diamond, and why not?
Yeah, it's the same, you know, it's what we mentioned, the problem with Yasuo. He needs to have Infinity Edge and Static Shift. When he has both of those, then he is a threat. Then he can blow somebody up. Right now, he's still 1.5 miles away from that. Gambit, with their 3,000 gold lead, they put damage in the top turret. They're zoning out Jankos and the rest of the members in this middle lane, and they're just looking to get tower damage down. That's all they want to do. Rotate around the map, take a look at the vision in the red buff area. Gambit can challenge for red if they want to. With Dragon up in a minute, I am expecting them to move towards that objective.
They have 3 members pushing the mid lane. Aleksei is going to roam around, and those spears are going to start to fly off from the side, I believe, is where they're going to begin. You see Darien going out, going to get that ward down. There's a spear coming in, lands an overpower, takes half his hit points off instantly.
That is a massive, massive hit. And Celiva, 60%. We're going to be saying, ooh, a whole lot. One more connects. Now Vanda's a target. This is
they got to back off. They can't fight this.
There's nothing that they can do. And this is exactly what Gambit want to be doing. Now, every time we talk about how you must siege, this is it being played perfectly. 16 minutes in, Gambit have wasted no time to get to the objective. This is the 4th tower of the game, and they're going to roll around, grab a dragon as well.
If one team know when they've got an advantage, it is Gambit. They, you know, lane phase doesn't always go their way, but if they get the advantage in that lane phase, they know how to put the pressure on. We're going to see Xaxus going to try and turn this one. Dark Binding instantly on, and Xaxus is going to go down. Who will pick up the kill? It's going to be, of course, Diamond. That's his 5th kill of the game. Now Overpow, they're trying to put pressure on towards him. Darien's got a little bit deep on this one. Overpow is not going to quite go down. The Ignite running on Darien. He should be safe just about there. And they get away with it. It's only a 1-for-0, and it's Diamond again, now 5-for-0 himself.
Yeah, 1-for-0. The last breath was not very impactful. At the end of the day, Rocket needed to get multiple members hit back with that Dragon's Descent, and were looking for a last breath to hit a bunch of people, but Overpow held on to it. He didn't actually dive in. We do see Eduard and Alex. They're going to look for Alex. Jankos is dead.
Jankos is dead. Dark Binding catches. This time around, it's Genja that picks it up. They've got themselves the Dragon as well, and well, rightly so. We see Celiva trying to dash away from that one. Alex keeping him away with those spears.
5,000 gold lead. The massive control that Gambit have right now. And, you know, with the comp that Rocket are running, they needed to get ahead. They needed to be able to engage on Gambit, jump on them and win team fights, and it has not been the case. And it's going to get just so much more difficult. You'll see that Genja's got a lot of attack damage, he's got a lot of critical chance. Gambit should rotate and roll around probably top and bottom lanes now, get those last inner turrets, and then immediately start sieging the inhibitors. There's nothing Rocket can do to stop them.
So Gambit looking very good in the opening 20 minutes of this game. Of course, if they do manage to get themselves a win in, I think they will go equal with Rocket at 14-12. But nevertheless, of course, with playoffs looming and more importantly, tiebreakers looming, this is an important game. It won't turn the tide in terms of Gambit and Rocket because Rocket have that 3-0 advantage already.
Yeah, so in terms of any head-to-heads, that it will be owned by them. But if there's 3 or more teams in that head-to-head scenario and there's no clear delineation of who is above whom, we will be going into that playoff that we talked about. Now, Alex could be caught out. Edward is nearby. They're going to jump on Alex.
They're going to try and chase him down. They do get the kick this time around, and they put the damage down, but he can just pounce away. There's the black shield. He can just heal himself up, and Alex is safe.
So if there was a little bit more damage from the side of Rocket, they could have set it up, but unfortunately, it was not. Last breath has been used. It's not going to be available to defend this turret, which means Xaxus and Jankos do not have the ability to dive in. Gambit, they're on the turret. They're already on the inhibitor turret at 19 minutes. Culling used to defend.
Jankos tries to come around the side, but look at Diamond straight on him, sinking his teeth down. That's going to be the inhibitor taken down, and Gambit not done yet. They're going to keep on pushing. Ooh, Dark Binding so close to landing on Celiva, just sidesteps it.
Yeah, it doesn't land this time around. This could be one of the quickest inhibitors as Darien goes in.
Oh, Darien getting taken so low, he may well get dropped instead. The inhibitor is still being taken down. Aleksei is yet to throw a spear out. It doesn't matter. Jankos comes around, he gets taken down, and now the fight starts. They're going towards Xaxus. Oh, the spear just slipping past his wing. It doesn't quite catch him. He pounces on Sullivan. The damage comes out, and Eddie finishes the deal with a Dark Binding. It's another 2 kills and an inhibitor for Gambit.
Flawless execution from Gambit. Every time they've been underneath the turret, they've landed the crucial abilities that they need to, and Rocket have had absolutely no reply. Because Rocket tried to set something up and kill Alex in the jungle and failed at it, they didn't have Last Breath, they didn't have Dragon's Rage for that defense, for that tower hold. So unfortunately, they lost it. I do want to highlight the fact that Diamond is going full tank as well. Spirit of the Elder Lizard as his jungle item and damage into Randian's Omen. This is exactly what we've seen from Insec at the Intel Extreme Masters. We'll see where Diamond begins to add damage. It tends to be the 4th item if we're going to go by the Insec level of play, but we'll see what Diamond decides to do. When you're this far ahead, you can actually afford to grab some more damage because they can't kill you yet.
Well, we saw that Xaxus was trying to put pressure down on towards that bottom. The red buff is the target, but is not there, I believe. It's just the tiniest little lizard, which Jankos is going to clear out. Genja has pushed up a giant wave along the top, and that's where the rest of Gambit are moving towards. And Rocket, I'm not sure want to defend this one.
I don't think they can. I mean, even against 4 members of Gambit, there's a teleport coming up from Xaxus on the left-hand side. Diamond's waiting for him. They've caught him already.
Why would you teleport directly into the entire team? I'm not sure they fancy this one, but they're going to go in nonetheless. It's going to be a 5-on-4, and Gambit want to fight this one. Xaxus taken low. Overpow dropped down the bottom there as well. Eddie doing what he can. Look at that culling coming out. Not doing enough damage. Overpow goes down. It's a 6th kill of the game for Diamond as they continue to chase. Overpow did get a kill on Eddie, but well, a support from mid laner. They'll take that any day. The spears keep on going. The death sentence lands, but they don't fancy this one. But Darien sure as hell does, and he goes steaming in, and it's going to be another turret picked up for Gambit.
4-on-5, and Gambit are going to come out in the lead. Even though they lost Eduard, they get the top inner turret. They have enough hit points available and cooldowns to potentially go for the next inhibitor turret. A Nexus turret almost falls to super minions. Rocket are so far behind, and you know, they don't actually have the damage to kill super minions right now. Diamond's hooked, but you don't want that bug.
Spears threading through, Xaxus caught out. There's the lantern, it will keep him away there. But again, as you mentioned, the super minions keep on coming, the spears keep on flowing. Xaxus getting pounced on. Diamond fancy in this one, tries to pull him out. Overpow goes deep, but it's only on Aleksei. And look at Darien running defensive duties. Vander being kept away, the spears keep throwing through. Darien tanking up every single patch of damage from Rocket. The spear not quite enough on Sullivan there, and it's another inhibitor gain. Super minions back on the Nexus.
There is so much armor on the front line of Gambit that Rocket cannot get through it. I highlighted the fact that when super minions are pouring down the lane this early on, 80 carries and like 80 assassins just don't have the damage to deal with him quickly enough to clear the wave and then defend the objective. So Rocket are so far behind. It's 10,000 gold, in addition to the fact that Gambit's composition can negate all of the pros that Rocket have. If you look, Randian's Omen, Warden's Mail, the makings of a Randian's on Darien, Zonya's Hourglass for Aleksei, he can even, you know, get away from their Last Breath burst. He can get away from the damage Rocket are trying to land.
And Genja leading the charge every step of the way. This is free farming for him, honestly. He's keeping that farm going, keeping the last hits going, and he just keeps on pushing those towers. The rest of the team reacting to his play and moving on around. That bottom call is the next target. They're going to do it by the numbers and take all the inhibs.
I would say this is one of the most flawless performances we've seen from Gambit all split long, and it's counterintuitive. It's not the type of composition you associate with a team like Gambit. They are playing to towers only. Yes, they have secured 9 kills, but that's because Diamond got ahead early and he's chasing them down. Because Diamond is closing those kills out, the rest of the team are taking the towers, and it's just really good, solid decision-making. They've got a dragon, and now they're sieging. This is a 4v5 again, and they can get away with it because they're so far ahead.
Well, spears coming through across the side there. They're going to keep on landing, keep on doing the damage. That will be another tower picked up by Gambit. They just keep on pushing through. 8th one of the game to the 1 of Rocket. 11,000 gold lead. We're only at the 24 mini mark, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very fast-paced game.
And now you see why NIDALEE was banned out against Gambit yesterday. The way they are playing with Caitlyn and with this NIDALEE is absolutely perfectly. Now, Gambit are sieging up their last remaining inhibitor turret. massive damage on Salivar. Now Jankos is in trouble.
That was not even max range. Ace in the hole comes through. The spears continue to rattle on through. And this time around, it's another inhibitor being sieged down. Darien tanking this one up. He doesn't mind. He can tank it for days. They're pushing through. Our Diamond comes in. He gets himself the 7th kill. Takes down the mid laner solo in that mid lane. Fantastic stuff. The inhibitor falls. It's the second one now because the mid lane has spawned. Gambit just going to rotate around, take that down, and push for the win.
Yeah, with Overpow being dead, this is 5v4. Look for one spear to connect. The Nexus turret is already dropped. There's nothing Rocket can do here.
Super Minions already took one down. The Rocket are going to go failing in towards their fountain. They just can't do anything about this Gambit lineup. They are picking off kills. Diamond fancies another. He gets kicked away, but he just gets saved. Xaxus tries to jump on him. It's Gambit that take victory. Their first one over Rocket. It takes them to 14-12. They are now tied on the table with Alliance and Rocket. In the head-to-head wise, they are down on both of them. 3-1 against Rocket, 2-1 against Alliance, but of course they play Alliance tomorrow. That game is going to be huge in the tiebreakers.
It's going to be very, very crucial. And I think, you know, there was a stern look on Alex's face. That was one of the easiest wins that Gambit has.
He didn't get a kill.
And you know what? At the end of the day, you don't need to. He was dealing the damage that allowed Diamond to zone them out and secure those kills. Gambit looking very, very threatening. If they get that map, pick / tower siege comp, you can expect the same from them every single time.
This is a very serious, stern Gambit that is here to take wins. Once that all-star position became available, Gambit, they want to make it their own. They want to be in international tournaments. They've said it many times. At international events, that is where they excel. That's what they play for.
What I liked about Gambit's decision-making in this game was, if you go all the way back to picks and bans, they banned out Ziggs, they banned out Gragas. Those are the two very big counters. If you can have a champion turtling up, defending your base from that onslaught of NIDALEE spears and there's no minions to work with, all of a sudden a lot of their power gets negated. So this time round, the pick ban phase went flawlessly for Gambit. The Rise was just making sure that if the game went long, if their strategy didn't work out in the laning phase, it would have given Rocket a chance to pull back, but it never did. And this is another time Shyvana, Yasuo, Lee Sin have not picked up a win in the LCS. Our teams simply are not doing it properly.
They just don't seem to know how to play it. They don't. But more importantly, I guess if you think back to the Intelligent Masters, the Chinese teams, when they played that Yasuo, they were ultra aggressive, in your face non-stop. Honestly, we don't have mid laners to do that. They just have to go insanely crazy on that aggression. And we tend to play safer.
I agree entirely. And with the way our junglers work as well, we've had discussions about the tempo of European junglers and how we've got a lot of herbivore junglers that like to just farm their jungle and just stick to their jungle camps. Yes, we have a few times when they get in the lanes, but if you go back to Intellectual Masters and compare it to, Insect, for example, Insect farmed the other team's jungle. He was so seldom in his own half of the map. And it's something that I'd like to see maybe some of the European teams picking up a little bit more, especially if you're going to play a composition like this.
And it was interesting to see that with the Lucian combo, once they got that Lucian Thresh combo, why they chose to lane swap, why they chose to go towards that top lane instead of sticking to the bottom where they could have kept Eddie and Genja at bay.
I agree with you. I think it was a poor decision. And it's not the first time Rocket have made poor decisions in the early game. Last week, during a lane swap, they got a tower early. They were running Caitlyn. They hesitated to go bottom lane. I believe it was against Alliance, if memory serves. And because they hesitated to go bottom, they pushed up to the inner turret, got like a minion wave worth of golden XP, and lost their bottom turret. And that early advantage that they gained was immediately negated and immediately balanced out. And then because Salivar and Vander couldn't stick at that first turret, they lost the first dragon as well. They couldn't contest for it. So the early game objective-based decisions need to be cleaner for Rocket. And it's something we've been saying for 4 weeks, 5 weeks now.
I wonder if they've just gone off previous experience where Gambit actually don't put the pressure on like that. Once they're in a 2v1, they don't push that bottom turret. Genja tends to just sit and farm. Instead, they went aggressive, and it worked out very well for them. Let's check in with Shox and Joe, who are ready to talk to Aleksei.
Thank you very much, D-Man. Yeah, Alex, an applause right away. Great victory from you guys here, and a welcome victory, obviously, for you guys. Tell me a little bit about the game plan, because there were some different things coming out, some things we don't see you guys doing that often, like you on that NIDALEE.
So we decided to ban almost all mid laners, so we knew that they will ban a lot of mid laners too. So we decided to go for totally different comp, like we banned Gragas and Ziggs, hard out pushers, and went for push comp.
So what is it about ROC that's been so hard for you guys this season? The head-to-head coming into this game was 3-0 in their favor. What changed this time around, and why was it so hard to figure out ROC before?
I think ROC is skin the same to us, so it's really like we want them with the comp that everyone is winning against us. We just picked push comp and didn't do any team fights, just push, and then destroyed all their turrets, and then they lost the game.
So what about Caitlyn? Because Genja doesn't play Caitlyn. Genja never plays Caitlyn. Why Caitlyn this time around?
I don't know. Maybe tired of losing to it.
Well, you do mention it, that it has been kind of rough for you guys yesterday, so very good win coming in. You know that your place in the playoffs is locked in. What is kind of your vision of your chances to get to that 1 or 2 spot, that number 1 or number 2 spot in the rankings?
I actually don't try to check the table, what place we're in now and how much we need to win or lose. I think we should just try win as much games as we can. So, 2 games left, so we need to win both the games.
Who do you see as Gambit's biggest threat moving forward? I mean, as I said, a bad head-to-head record against ROC over the season. You found it tough against some other teams, but who for you is the hard team to beat at this point?
I think both Fnatic and Alliance will be really hard to beat, so we need to prepare and do our best to win.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, and congratulations picking up this win here, Alex. As for us, it's time to take a short break, but don't go anywhere because we are just moments away from the Super Hot Crew versus SK Gaming. We'll be right back.
Slice and dice, and Overpow actually getting caught out here. Oh, but the ulti's just close enough to catch on towards him, but he's going to get the support. In comes Diamond on towards Overpow. Overpow taken very low from this one, hasn't got enough, and now Jankos in all sorts of trouble. Diamond lands, Diamond gets a double kill.